Welcome back to Cheddar. For some kids, playing with Legos or Connects was not only a fun activity, but also a jumping off point to get them involved in STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and math. Joining us now is Michael Ayrton, CEO of Connects, and Scott Landis, Connexpert, that's a thing, folks, and junior mechanical engineer at Robotany. Thank you guys both so much for joining us today. Scott, I think I want to kick it off with you. You've been playing with the Connect since you were just 5 years of age. You told me during the break that now you're 22. Explain to us, though, how you're still using these toys in your current engineering job.
Yeah, so really I used the skills that I ascertained from building with Connects as a little kid. Because I had the ability to kind of work my spatial skills in a way and develop my brain in a way that allowed me to build things later on in a real engineering setting. Specifically, I actually still use Connects in the office, and I've used it throughout college to kind of prototype interesting ideas that I have before I go and try to put them on paper or before I try to actually CAD it up. And so I actually use them in my job to try to find ways of growing more efficiently in a smaller space.
Is this you in a small space?
That is. There's me, age 11.
You bought Connects for yourself and built yourself a ball and these houses and all these constructions.
That's right. My parents are very supportive. They bought me all these Connects for Christmas, all the different kits. I started out by building things from the instruction books, and then once I had a really good grasp of how to build things, I went off and started building my own creations.
Michael, when you hear stories like this, is it representative of a typical experience, or is Scott sort of unique?
Well, Scott is one of our world of Connexperts, which we have many of from all over the world now. Having been in the STEM field for 25 years, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. What's great is that Connects is a launching point for so many careers. What I love about what Connects does is it inspires kids to try a variety of things. So whether they go into engineering at startups like Scott, or whether they go and play it or end up at Google or Facebook or wherever they end up, they're doing these wonderful things, and we know that we're only graduating about half the kids we need with STEM skills now, and we know if we don't inspire them by the time they're in middle school, we lose them. So it's a way to inspire both boys and girls. We've been doing a STEM challenge in Pennsylvania for the last 7 years. We've had 100,000 kids go through it, 50,000 boys, 50,000 girls. It's been fantastic.
Michael, if we dig into Connects just as a company, as a business, by installing robots in your factories, you guys have been able to really cut costs and make 90% of your parts right here in the US, something that you told the New Yorker you coined as patriotic capitalism.
Yes.
Do you still see it as that way when some critics say the more that robots come into these manufacturing jobs, come into these factories, that's the less job for American workers? Would you still qualify that as patriotic capitalism?
So it's a great question. I'll take it in stages. Stage one is you need a certain amount of automation and robotics to be able to compete globally, which is what we're doing, because we're not just competing here in America, we're competing with places like China and Europe and all over the world. And in order to have that, you need a certain level of automation. I will also say there's a ton of jobs, STEM-related jobs. Scott's building robots for an agricultural application. We're buying robots being built by MIT guys who graduated and built robots right here in America. I will also just cite the Brookings Institution, which said the kids who are 5 today, 2/3 of them will have jobs that haven't been invented yet. They've been invented by things that we're working on now, AI, VR, AR, and automation and robotics. So we've always figured out a way to be more productive. So I think my patriotic capitalism will continue. They'll be in these higher end jobs that really are the new jobs of the American dream, advanced manufacturing of the 21st century.
And Scott, before we can come back to you, Michael, just want to stay on those topics that we
Sure.
just hit on.
Yep.
Robotics, AR, VR. These are physical toys still. Digital products are now becoming a bigger part of our everyday lives. What's your strategy to grow Connects into the future?
So we think that there is room for both. You know, video games preceded the VR, AR experiences we have today. I don't think it'll be very long in the future before you see a Connects roller coaster that you build that then you'll be able to ride, you know, in VR yourself, right? We met with some of the team over at Oculus Rift, we've met with others, and they're working on these amazing things, so you're going to see those kind of immersive experiences. I think of it as completing the circle of play, going from physical to digital and back again.
All right, Scott, you brought with us your very first
Yes.
Connects here on set, which is a napkin holder that you created when you were 5 years old. What do you think is the Connects of this generation, which I'm not actually sure what letter this generation is. I know Generation Z is just graduating from college.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the 5-year-olds.
We'll start at A again. We'll just
I think we'll
restart.
start at A again.
That's right.
What is the Connects of this generation? It's an interesting question. I think the biggest shift that we're seeing is a shift towards this generation where kind of everybody's on their phones, everybody's on their iPhones, and you can think of that as an opportunity to get people more involved in the computer science side of STEM. People are, there are so many more jobs in AI and computer programming, and so we have Connects that is absolutely still relevant today for building mechanical engineering skills in classrooms, but I think that the move towards computer science and having that be more of a standard in high school and middle school education could be the next big Connects kind of direction.
And when you're at school and you do this with your classmates, do you get funny looks or do people like kind of get it?
Oh, absolutely. You got the funny looks at first, and then once you kind of explain the idea and explain that, hey, this is how I think, this is how I can spatially figure out exactly if something's going to work in 3D space, instead of just drawing something out or CADing it, I can quickly convey ideas, explain them to people. Very simple.
But with CAD and with all of these design elements, it's supposed to be easier, right, to be able to do the designs and to submit it to your professor or get 3D models going. So why is it still important to start with physical first and then going to digital?
So when you actually have a physical component, you can get a sense quicker of if it's going to actually work in space. The nice thing about Connects, in comparison to some of the competitors' products, is that with Connects, you can actually build things that move more effectively. You get a better sense of how things are going to torque, how things are going to bend, and all these different components of structural design and dynamics that you can get by actually building a 3D physical model.
Michael, are you guys actually putting Connects in classrooms, and are there plans, to Ho's point, maybe to have some linkage with Connects and AR in the future?
So yes, we're putting them in classrooms. We have a dedicated line of Connect sets. We call them America's STEM Solution, and they have curriculum tied to the national standards from pre-K all the way through college, from building a DNA cell to figuring out levers and pulleys, figuring out alternative energy and using wind power and solar energy. On the VR AR side, the short answer is yes. I think you'll see products in the marketplace potentially as early as next year from us. We've seen some wonderful prototypes that are in the design lab now that I can't say a lot more about, except that I'm excited. I've enjoyed some of the demos, and I think kids all over the world will too.
Deep tease for all the kids out there.
Yes,
it's coming.
It's coming.
And when you're talking about competitors, are you talking about like Lego?
I said to Scott, I think we compete generally for people's time. So there's just so much leisure time and / education. I think one of the echoes of the Great Recession has been moms and dads and grandparents want their kids to have fun, but they also want them to have an edge on life. And that's the kind of thing that Connects does that not a lot of the other products out there do. And I think that gives us a unique tailwind that is sort of unique to Connects.
Yeah, I interviewed the VP of Play at Lego in June, and I asked him why there was so much interest still in a brick that's 60 plus years old. You're 25 years old, and or not you,
right?
The company.
Yes, I wish I was 25.
25, of course.
Thank you.
And he said there is just a deeper satisfaction that you get from the physical building of something versus in the digital. Do you agree with that?
I do. I think until we evolve into floating heads, I think we're going to like to touch something, feel it, see what it looks like. And part of the play experience is actually making something, having that wow, I made it moment, and then using it afterwards. And I think that's what makes building things, whether it's with popsicle sticks or with Connects, just so enjoyable.
All right, well, we got to leave it there. Thank you both so much for joining us. Michael Ayrton, he's the CEO of Connects, and Scott Landis, he's the Connexpert and junior mechanical engineer at Robotny, here with us on Cheddar. Thanks so much.